Eliana never imagined that asking a lonely, autistic 9-year-old boy whom everyone ignored to dance would completely flip her world upside down. One simple act of kindness at a charity gala led her straight into the dangerous arms of his father, a ruthless Korean mafia boss. What started as a 2-week agreement turned into a battle for survival, unexpected love, and a choice that would change everything. You're about to hear one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever written, and I'm so excited to share Eliana's incredible journey with you today. Kindly show some love by hitting that subscribe button and dropping a like, because your support literally makes these stories possible. Now let's jump right into this masterpiece. The music thumped through the massive ballroom, but 9-year-old Bam Suk sat alone at a corner table, hands flapping rhythmically while everyone else danced. His eyes were fixed on the chandelier above, counting the crystals over and over. Eliana adjusted her emerald dress and walked straight toward him. The other guests, wealthy businesspeople from across Asia and Africa, pretended not to see the boy. His father, whoever that was, had money. That much was obvious from the private estate in Ulsan where this charity gala was being held. But nobody wanted to deal with a kid who didn't act like the others. "Hey," Eliana said, crouching beside him. "I like your tie. Those are birds, right?" Bam Suk's hands stopped moving. He looked at her, really looked, and nodded once. "Cranes. 47 stitches per wing. That's amazing. I can't even sew a button." She smiled. "Wanna dance? Just one. I promise I won't mess up your counting." He hesitated, then stood up. His movements were stiff, uncertain, but he followed her to the edge of the dance floor. Eliana kept it simple, just swaying, letting him move however felt right. He rocked side to side, and she matched his rhythm. From across the room, a man stopped mid-conversation. Yejin Baek was 42, built like he'd been carved from stone, with silver threading through his black hair. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than most cars, and everyone in the room either feared him or pretended not to know who he really was. His empire stretched from shipping to real estate to other things. Things people whispered about but never said out loud. He watched his son dance with a stranger, a young black woman with box braids and a smile that made Bam Suk's face light up in a way Yejin had never seen before. "Who is that?" Yejin asked his assistant, Kwang Ho. Kwang Ho checked his tablet. "Eliana Zachary, sir. 23. Graduate student at University of Cape Town. She's here with the Mbatha Foundation delegation. Her research focuses on cross-cultural child development. Find out everything." The song ended. Eliana high-fived Bam Suk, who actually smiled, a real smile, before returning to his table. She turned to head back to her own group and nearly collided with a wall of expensive fabric and cold authority. Yejin stood there, studying her with eyes that seemed to see everything. "You made my son smile." Eliana's stomach flipped, but she kept her voice steady. "He's a sweet kid. Just needed someone to meet him where he is. Most people can't be bothered. Most people are missing out." Something flickered in Yejin's expression. Surprise, maybe, or interest. "I'm Yejin Baek, Bam Suk's father. Eliana Zachary." She extended her hand, and when he shook it, his grip was firm but not aggressive. His hands were calloused despite the wealth. "Working hands. You're from South Africa? Born there. Grew up in Johannesburg. Moved around a lot for school. And you study children." "I study how we can help all children thrive, regardless of how their brains work." She glanced back at Bam Suk. "Your son is brilliant, by the way. Did you know he can count the exact number of stitches in embroidery just by looking?" Yejin's jaw shifted slightly. "I didn't." Before Eliana could respond, a commotion erupted near the entrance. 3 men in dark suits pushed past security, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Guests scattered. Eliana saw fear in their faces, real, primal fear. "Mr. Baek," the lead man called out in Korean, his voice sharp. "We need to discuss your recent, territorial decisions." Yejin's whole demeanor changed. The man who'd been talking about his son vanished, replaced by something colder, harder. He responded in rapid Korean, his tone leaving no room for argument. But the men didn't leave. One of them pulled out a tool. Eliana's training kicked in, the self-defense courses, the situational awareness workshops. She grabbed Bam Suk and pulled him behind a table, shielding him with her body. The boy started humming, a self-soothing mechanism, but he didn't fight her. "It's okay," she whispered. "Just like a game. We're hiding." Yejin moved faster than she expected. He disarmed the first man with 2 precise movements, then signaled to his own security. Within seconds, the intruders were surrounded, and the lead man laughed. "You think this ends here? The dragons don't forget, Beck. Neither does your brother." "Brother?" Eliana's mind raced. She kept Bam Suk calm, humming with him now, but her eyes stayed on Yejin. He leaned close to the man and said something too quiet to hear. Whatever it was made the man's face go pale. Security dragged them out. The music started again, someone's desperate attempt to return to normalcy. But everyone knew what they'd just witnessed. This wasn't a charity gala. It was a display of power, and those men had just challenged it in front of everyone. Yejin walked straight to Eliana and Bam Suk. "Are you hurt?" "We're fine," Eliana said, still holding Bam Suk's hand. "But what just happened?" "Business dispute." His voice was flat, emotionless. "Kwang Ho will take you back to your hotel. I apologize for." "I'm not leaving him." Eliana nodded toward Bam Suk, who was still humming. "He's overwhelmed. If I leave now, it'll make it worse. He needs consistency." Yejin stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. "You want to stay? I want to make sure he's okay. That's what matters right now." For the first time that night, Yejin looked uncertain. He nodded slowly. "Then come with us. Kwang Ho, clear the West Wing." Eliana found herself being escorted through corridors lined with art that belonged in museums, past guards who watched her with suspicious eyes. They reached a private room where Bam Suk immediately went to a shelf of puzzles and started organizing them by color. "He finds order calming," Yejin explained, his voice softer now. "After incidents like tonight." "How often do incidents like tonight happen?" "More than they should. Less than they used to." Eliana sat on the floor near Bam Suk, not too close, just present. "What did that man mean about your brother?" Yejin's expression hardened. "That's not your concern." "Fair enough." She watched Bam Suk sort blue puzzle pieces into increasingly detailed gradients. But if Bam Suk is going to be around this kind of thing, he needs stability, routine, people he can trust. "He has me." "Does he?" The words came out sharper than Eliana intended, but she didn't take them back. "Because from what I saw tonight, a lot of people noticed him sitting alone. Including you." Yejin's hands clenched, then relaxed. "You don't understand my life. Then help me understand. Because right now, all I see is a kid who deserves better." They stared at each other, a standoff between 2 stubborn people from completely different worlds. Then Bam Suk spoke. "She smells like coconut. It's nice. 43 braids. 3 beads each. Count them, Appa." Yejin's expression cracked. Just for a second, Eliana saw something vulnerable beneath the armor. "Yes, I see them. She's my friend now." Yejin looked at Eliana helplessly. "He doesn't usually. People are difficult for him." "I'm not most people." Eliana stood and brushed off her dress. "Look, I don't know what your business is, and honestly, I don't want to know. But Bam Suk matters. If you want help figuring out how to support him better, I'm here for the next 2 weeks. After that, I go back to Cape Town." "Why would you help us?" "Because every child deserves someone in their corner. And because..." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Because I know what it's like to be different and have people treat you like you're broken." "You're not broken, are you, Bam Suk?" The boy shook his head, still sorting. "Different configuration. Different pattern. Same value." Eliana's throat tightened. "Exactly. Same value." Yejin pulled out his phone and made a call in Korean. When he finished, he looked at Eliana with something that might have been respect. "Kwang Ho will arrange for your things to be brought here. You'll stay in the East Wing. I'm assigning you 2 guards. I don't need. After tonight, everyone in my home needs protection. Including you." His tone left no room for argument. Those men were from a rival organization. They now know you protected my son. That makes you a target. Reality crashed down on Ileana. She'd stepped into something way bigger than a dance with a lonely kid. Maybe I should just go back too. Too late. Yejin's voice was almost gentle. They've already marked you. You're safer here than anywhere else in the city. I give you my word. No harm will come to you under my roof. Eliana looked at Bam Suk, who'd finally looked up from his puzzles and was watching her with hopeful eyes. She thought about her dissertation, her flight back to South Africa, her normal life. Then she thought about what those men might do if they found her alone in some hotel. 2 weeks, she said firmly. I help with Bam Suk. You keep me safe. After that, I'm gone and we never speak again. Deal? Yejin extended his hand. Deal. When they shook this time, Eliana felt the weight of a choice she couldn't take back. She'd just made an agreement with a man whose own brother apparently wanted him dead. A man whose son was currently arranging puzzle pieces into the shape of a crane, 47 stitches per wing. What had she gotten herself into? The East Wing was ridiculous. Eliana's room had a bathroom bigger than her entire apartment back in Cape Town, and the bed could fit 6 people. She unpacked her single suitcase, practical clothes, research notes, and her laptop, and felt completely out of place among the silk sheets and hand-carved furniture. A knock on the door made her jump. Miss Zachary? A young woman in a neat uniform bowed slightly. I'm Haewon, your attendant. Mr. Beck requests your presence for breakfast at 7. Bam Suk's morning routine begins at 6:30. Attendant? I don't need. Mr. Beck insists. I'll wake you at 6 if that's acceptable. Eliana nodded, too tired to argue. When Haewon left, she collapsed onto the bed and stared at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed, a message from her advisor, Dr. Mbatha. Where are you? The delegation left hours ago. Eliana hesitated, then typed. Something came up. Family emergency. I'll explain later. She hated lying, but what else could she say? I'm staying with a crime boss because I danced with his son? That would go over well. Sleep didn't come easy. When she finally drifted off, she dreamed of puzzle pieces that wouldn't fit no matter how hard she tried. 6:30 came too fast. Eliana dressed in jeans and a simple blue top, then followed Haewon through corridors that all looked identical. They stopped at a door decorated with hand-painted cranes. Bam Suk's room. Inside, the boy was already arranging his books by height, then color, then subject. His movements were precise, methodical. Yejin sat in a chair by the window, watching with an expression Eliana couldn't read. Good morning, she said softly, not wanting to startle Bam Suk. The boy glanced up. 7 steps from door to bookshelf. You took 7 steps. Appa takes 9. His legs are longer. You're absolutely right. Eliana smiled. Can I help with the books? Yes, but only the science ones. They go on the 3rd shelf. 42 books total. They worked together in comfortable silence. Yejin watched, and Eliana tried not to feel self-conscious about it. When the last book was in place, Bam Suk clapped his hands 3 times, a celebration. Breakfast now. Breakfast now, Yejin confirmed, standing. He looked at Eliana. Thank you. For what? For not treating him like a problem to solve. The words hit harder than Eliana expected. He's not a problem. He's a person. Something shifted in Yejin's eyes, a crack in the armor he wore so carefully. But before he could respond, Kwang-ho appeared in the doorway, his face tense. Sir, we have a situation. Yejin's entire body went rigid. What kind? Your brother. He's here. The air in the room changed. Bam Suk immediately started humming, louder this time, more agitated. Eliana knelt beside him. Hey, remember the crane pattern? Can you tell me about it? All 47 stitches. He focused on her, his humming softening as he described each stitch in careful detail. Yejin watched this exchange, then nodded at Kwang-ho. Keep them here. Full security. Yejin. Eliana started, but he was already gone. Kwang-ho positioned himself by the door, one hand resting on something under his jacket. A weapon, Eliana realized. Her stomach twisted. Who's the brother? She asked quietly. Trouble. Kwang Ho said. That's all you need to know. But Bam Suk answered anyway, still focused on his stitching explanation. Uncle Jin sang. He makes Appa sad. He used to make Iyama sad too, before she left. Eliana's heart clenched. Your mom left. 2 years, 3 months, 14 days ago. She said, I was too much work. But Appa says that's not true. He says I'm exactly enough. Kwang Ho looked uncomfortable, like this was information Eliana shouldn't have. But she filed it away, understanding Yejin just a little bit more. Raised voices echoed down the corridor, Korean, angry, getting closer. Kwang Ho stepped in front of them instinctively. Stay back. A man burst through the door before anyone could stop him. He looked like Yejin, same sharp features, same build, but his eyes were wilder, hungrier. Jin sang. So this is the African girl causing all the trouble, he said in English, his accent thick but clear. My brother's new weakness. I'm not anyone's anything, Eliana shot back, standing up but keeping Bam Suk behind her. And you need to leave. You're scaring him. Jin Sang laughed. Scaring him? The boy doesn't understand fear. He barely understands anything. That's not true and you know it. Oh, and you're an expert after one night. Jin Sang stepped closer and Kwang Ho moved to intercept, but Jin Sang waved him off. Relax. I'm not here to hurt anyone. Just came to see what made my brother soft enough to bring a stranger into his home, into his son's life. Get out. Yejin's voice came from the doorway, cold and absolute. Now. Why? Afraid I'll tell her the truth? That you're not some misunderstood businessman? That you've killed men with your own hands? That our father built this empire on blood, and you've done nothing but add to the body count. Eliana's blood ran cold, but she didn't move. Bam Suk was shaking now, his humming turning into something close to distress. She needed to get him calm, not caught in whatever this was. Bam Suk, she said gently, ignoring everyone else. Can you show me your rock collection? I bet you've organized them by weight and color and everything. The boy hesitated, then nodded. He took her hand and led her to a shelf across the room. Behind them, the brothers faced off like two storms about to collide. You had your chance to lead, Yejin said, his voice low and dangerous. You chose drugs and chaos. I chose stability. You chose to become father. Cold, ruthless, alone. Jin Sang's grin was vicious. At least I'm honest about what we are. You pretend you're different, but you're not. And now you've dragged some innocent girl into our world because what? Your son likes her? That's pathetic. My son is the only good thing in my life. And if you threaten that again, brother or not, I will end you. The room went silent. Even Bam Suk stopped talking about his rocks. Eliana realized she'd been holding her breath. Jin Sang studied Yejin for a long moment, then smiled. A snake smile. Fine. Keep your little pet. But when the dragons come, and they will come, don't expect me to help clean up your mess. You made your choice last night. Now live with it. He left, and the tension didn't follow him. It stayed, thick and suffocating. Yejin closed his eyes briefly, and when he opened them, he looked older somehow. Tired. Kwang Ho, double the perimeter. I want updates every hour. Yes, sir. When they were alone, just Yejin, Eliana, and Bam Suk, the silence stretched. Finally, Eliana spoke. Is it true? What he said about you? Yejin met her eyes. Every word. I've done terrible things. I will probably do more terrible things. That's who I am. If you want to leave, I'll arrange safe transport out of the city. You'll be protected until you're on a plane back to South Africa. No questions asked. Eliana looked at Bam Suk, who was now arranging his rocks by geological composition, explaining the difference between sedimentary and igneous in the same calm voice he'd used before the chaos. A child who'd learned to find peace in patterns while everything around him fell apart. I'm staying, she said. Not because of you. Because of him. He needs someone who sees him for who he is, not as a weakness or a burden. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm that person. Even knowing what I am? I don't know what you are. I know what your brother says you are. And I know what I've seen, a father who loves his son but doesn't know how to show it. A man who keeps everyone at a distance because he thinks it'll keep them safe. But mostly, I see someone who needs help, even if he's too stubborn to ask for it. Yejin stared at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You're either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both. Eliana managed a shaky smile. But I made a deal, and I keep my word. 2 weeks. We help Bam Suk. Then I disappear from your life forever.
Can you live with that?
Can you? The question hung between them, loaded with implications Eliana wasn't ready to examine. She turned back to Bam Suk instead. Come on, let's go have that breakfast. I bet you know exactly how many tiles are in the dining room. 347. Bam Suk said immediately. But 3 are chipped. So technically 344 whole ones. As they walked to breakfast, Eliana felt Yejin's eyes on her back. She'd just committed to staying in the home of a man who'd admitted to crime, whose own brother wanted him dead. But when Bam Suk squeezed her hand and counted the doorways they passed, 7, 8, 9, she knew she'd made the right choice. For now, at least. The question was, what happened when 2 weeks ended and she had to walk away from a boy who'd already lost too many people? And why did the thought of never seeing Yejin again feel like a loss she hadn't anticipated? She pushed those thoughts away and focused on breakfast, on Bam Suk's smile, on the present moment. Because in Yejin Beck's world, tomorrow wasn't promised, and the past was written in blood she couldn't wash away. I hope you're loving Eliana's and Yejin's story so far because it's about to get even more intense from here. Tap that like button and subscribe if you haven't to keep listening to find out what happens next. 3 days into her stay, Eliana established a routine. Mornings with Bam Suk, lessons disguised as play, building social skills through games he could understand. Afternoons in the library while he napped, researching better support methods. Evenings were family time, though calling it that felt strange when family meant a crime boss and his brilliant son. Yejin watched from the shadows, always present but rarely participating. Until Wednesday, when Bam Suk asked about his mother. Why did Iyama leave? The question came during dinner, a simple meal of rice, grilled fish, and vegetables. Yejin's chopsticks froze halfway to his mouth. She had her reasons, he said carefully. Was it because of me? Uncle Ginseng said I'm broken. That no one normal can handle me. Eliana's hand clenched around her own chopsticks, so hard they nearly snapped. But Yejin spoke before she could. Your uncle is wrong. You're not broken. Your mother left because she couldn't handle the life I chose, the danger I brought. She wanted safety, normalcy. I couldn't give her that. His voice cracked slightly. It had nothing to do with you. Nothing. Then why didn't she take me? The raw pain in that question made Eliana's eyes burn. Yejin set down his chopsticks and did something she'd never seen before. He reached across the table and took his son's hand. Because she knew I would never let you go. You're the best part of me, Bam Suk. The only pure thing in my entire life. Without you, I'm what Ginseng said. Cold. Empty. Bam Suk processed this with his typical analytical approach. So, Iyama left because of your job, not because of my brain configuration? Exactly. And you kept me because you love me? More than anything in this world. The boy nodded, satisfied with this logic. He returned to his meal, the crisis averted in his mind. But Eliana saw how Yejin's hands trembled slightly when he picked up his chopsticks again. How his jaw was tight with unshed emotion. After Bam Suk went to bed, Eliana found Yejin on the terrace overlooking the gardens. The Ulsan night was clear, stars visible despite the city lights in the distance. You didn't have to stay out here alone, she said, joining him at the railing. I'm always alone. It's safer that way. Is it though? She leaned against the stone, studying his profile. Seems pretty lonely. Loneliness doesn't kill you. Letting people close does. That's a sad way to live. He turned to face her, and in the moonlight, he looked younger, more vulnerable. My father taught me that love is weakness. Ginseng believed him. I tried not to. Then I married someone who confirmed it. She looked at our son, our brilliant, unique son, and saw a burden. She looked at me and saw a monster. She wasn't wrong about the second part. Stop it. Eliana's voice was sharp. Stop defining yourself by other people's fears. Yes, you've done bad things. I'm not naive enough to pretend otherwise. But you're also a father who rearranges his entire schedule around his son's routines, who learned about sensory processing disorders and auditory sensitivities so Bam Suk would feel understood. That's not a monster. That's a man trying his best. My best has gotten people killed, and your best has kept Bam Suk alive and loved in a world that would chew him up otherwise. Both things can be true. Yejin looked at her for a long time. How do you do that? Do what? See good in places where none exists. I see complexity. Good. Bad, everything in between. People aren't one thing, Yejin. They're a mess of choices and circumstances and intentions that don't always match outcomes.
She paused.
What I can't figure out is why you're so determined to see yourself as only the bad parts. Because if I don't, I might forget what I am. And forgetting in my world means death. Before Eliana could respond, her phone rang. Dr. Mbatha. She'd been avoiding this call for days, but couldn't anymore. I need to take this. She walked to the other end of the terrace and answered. Dr. Mbatha. Eliana, what's going on? The delegation has been back in Cape Town for 3 days. Your family emergency story doesn't check out. I called your mother. She said you're fine. Eliana closed her eyes. It's complicated, then uncomplicated. You have a dissertation to finish, a career to build. You can't just disappear in South Korea for some boy. It's not like that. I'm helping a child who needs support. There are children who need support everywhere. What makes this one so special that you'd risk your entire future? The question hit hard because Eliana had been asking herself the same thing. I made a commitment. 2 weeks. Then I'm coming home. 2 weeks in which you're missing symposiums, networking events, and meetings with your committee. Eliana, I vouch for you. Don't make me regret it. The call ended, leaving Eliana staring at her phone. Dr. Mbatha was right. Her entire career could derail because of this choice. She should leave, go back to real life, forget about a lonely boy and his complicated father. But when she turned around, Yejin was gone. The next morning, Yejin was different. Distant. He left breakfast early, barely spoke during the afternoon routine, and was absent for dinner completely. Kwang Ho made excuses, business, meetings, important matters. But Eliana knew avoidance when she saw it. She'd pushed too hard.
Said too much.
Crossed a line she shouldn't have. Or maybe he'd simply realized that having her here was more complicated than it was worth. By Friday, the distance had grown into a chasm. Bam Suk noticed, asking repeatedly where his father was. Eliana ran out of acceptable answers. When bedtime came and Yejin still hadn't appeared, the boy refused to sleep. Appa always says goodnight. 13 words exactly. Sleep well, Bam Suk. Dream of cranes and stars. I love you always. Good night. I know, sweetie. But he's very busy right now. Is he leaving too? Like Iyama? The fear in those words broke something in Eliana. She found Kwang Ho standing guard outside. Where is he? I can't. I don't care about your orders. His son needs him. Now. Kwang Ho hesitated, then sighed. Study. East corridor, 3rd door on the left. But Miss Zachary, he asked not to be disturbed. Too bad. She marched down the corridor and threw open the study door without knocking. Yejin sat behind a massive desk covered in papers, a glass of something amber in his hand. He looked up, startled. Your son thinks you're leaving him, Eliana said without preamble. He's terrified that you're going to disappear like his mother. And you're hiding in here like a coward. Get out.
No.
Not until you explain what happened. 3 days ago, we had an actual conversation. You opened up. Now you're back to being the Ice King. What changed? Yejin stood, and his presence filled the room like a storm. You want to know what changed? I listened to your phone call. I heard your advisor. You have a career, a future, A life that doesn't involve being trapped in a compound with a man who kills people for a living. I'm giving you an out. By pushing me away, that's your solution. It's the only solution that makes sense. You leave. You go back to Cape Town. You finish your dissertation and forget any of this happened. Bam Suk will adjust. He always does. Except he won't, and you know it. Eliana stepped closer. He's already lost one parent who abandoned him. Now you're emotionally abandoning him, because what? You're afraid I might actually care? That I might not run screaming? You should run screaming. Smart people do. Then I guess I'm not smart. Because I'm still here, and I'm not planning to leave until our deal is done. 2 weeks. That's what we agreed. Agreements can be renegotiated. Not this one. They stood there, facing off like two stubborn mountains. Finally, Yejin's shoulders sagged. I heard you on that phone. Your advisor was right. You're throwing away your future. That's my choice to make. But why? Why would you sacrifice everything for a child you barely know? Because Eliana stopped, realizing she didn't have a simple answer. Because he matters. Because every child deserves someone who fights for them. And because maybe I'm tired of living a safe, predictable life where everything is planned and controlled and nothing ever surprises me. Yejin's expression shifted. You're running too. From something. It wasn't a question. Eliana felt exposed, seen in a way that made her uncomfortable. That's not.
You are.
You left your entire delegation behind. You're avoiding your advisor. You jumped at the chance to stay here even though it's dangerous. What are you running from, Eliana? She wanted to deny it. But standing in this study with a man who'd admitted his darkest truths, lying felt wrong. From expectations. From being the perfect student, the perfect daughter, the perfect everything. From a life where I can see every step planned out until I'm 60 and nothing ever changes or challenges me or makes me feel alive. And this makes you feel alive. Terrifyingly so. The honesty hung between them. Yejin set down his glass and walked around the desk until he was standing right in front of her. Close enough that she could see the silver in his hair, the tiny scar above his left eyebrow, the way his eyes weren't quite black but a very dark brown. You're playing a dangerous game. I know. People in my world don't get happy endings. I'm not looking for an ending. Just a different middle. His hand came up, hesitating near her face before dropping. I can't give you what you're looking for. I'm not asking you to give me anything. I'm asking you to stop pushing away the people who care about you. Starting with your son, who's currently lying in bed convinced you hate him. That did it. Yejin's careful control cracked. I could never hate him. Then prove it. Go tell him goodnight. 13 words exactly. Be his father, not his boss. Yejin studied her for another long moment, then nodded. They walked back to Bam Suk's room together, and when Yejin opened the door, the boy sat up immediately. Appa, I'm sorry I'm late. Yejin sat on the edge of the bed. I had things to handle. But I'm here now.
Say it.
Please? Yejin took a breath, and when he spoke, his voice was gentle. Sleep well, Bam Suk. Dream of cranes and stars. I love you always. Good night. Bam Suk smiled and lay back down, satisfied. Eliana backed toward the door to give them privacy, but the boy called out. Eliana stays too. She's part of the routine now. Yejin looked at her, and something in his expression made her heart stutter. Permission. Invitation. Maybe something more dangerous than either. She stayed. The weekend brought an unexpected visitor. Eliana was in the garden with Bam Suk, teaching him about different plant species, when a car arrived. Not the usual black security vehicles. This one was silver, expensive, and driven by a woman who looked like she'd walked out of a fashion magazine. Well, the woman said in perfect English, removing her sunglasses. This is interesting. Kwang Ho appeared within seconds, tense. Miss Hygiene. You weren't scheduled. Since when do I need a schedule to visit my nephew? She walked past him, her heels clicking on the stone path. Her eyes landed on Eliana with laser focus. And who might you be? Eliana Zachary. I'm helping with Bam Suk's. His development. Yes, I heard. My little brother has been quite secretive about his new consultant. The way she said consultant made it clear she meant something else entirely. Bam Suk looked up from the flowers. And hygiene. You're 6 days early. You usually visit on the third Sunday of each month. I know, darling. But I heard some troubling news and wanted to check on things myself. She smiled at the boy, and it was genuinely warm. Whatever else she was, she clearly loved her nephew. Why don't you show me the new flowers while your father's friend and I chat? Eliana started to protest, but Bam Suk was already pulling hygiene toward the rose bushes, explaining their botanical names with enthusiasm. That left Eliana alone with Kwang Ho, who looked deeply uncomfortable. She's Yejin's sister, he explained quietly. Youngest of the Beck children. She doesn't participate in the family business. Married a tech CEO, lives in Jeju Island. But she's sharp. Very sharp. Should I be worried? Probably. 10 minutes later, Hygiene returned alone. Bam Suk had apparently been handed off to another guard for continued plant education. The woman sat on a nearby bench and gestured for Eliana to join her.
So,
let's speak plainly. What are you doing here? Exactly what I said. Helping Bam Suk. For free? Out of the goodness of your heart. Your brother is providing security and accommodations in exchange for my expertise. It's a fair trade. Hygiene laughed. Nothing involving my brother is ever a fair trade. He's a ruthless man, Miss Zachary. He has to be, given what he does. And he doesn't let strangers into his home, into his son's life, without very good reasons. So I'll ask again, what are you really doing here? Eliana met her eyes. Dancing with a lonely kid at a party. That's all. Everything else spiraled from there. And now? What's spiraling now? The question was loaded. Eliana thought about the terrace conversation, the study confrontation, the way Yejin had looked at her in Bam Suk's room. Nothing. I'm here for 10 more days. Then I go home. Do you actually believe that? I have to. Hygiene's expression softened slightly. My brother hasn't let anyone close since his wife left. He buries himself in work and pretends he doesn't need human connection. But Bam Suk needs more than a distant father. He needs warmth, consistency, love expressed in ways he can understand. If you're providing that, then I'm grateful. But if you're going to leave and break his heart, I won't break his heart. We've been clear from the start. This is temporary. Children don't understand temporary. They understand present and absent. And when you're gone, you'll be absent. He'll feel abandoned again. Hygiene stood. I'm not saying don't help. I'm saying be careful. With Bam Suk. And with Yejin. Nothing is happening with Yejin. Keep telling yourself that. She left, and Eliana sat there feeling thoroughly dissected. Was Hygiene right? Was she setting Bam Suk up for more heartbreak? And what about the complicated tension between her and Yejin? Was it as obvious as his sister suggested? That night, Yejin summoned her to his office. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. My sister spoke with you. She's protective. I get it. She thinks I'm making a mistake. Letting you stay. Eliana's stomach dropped. Are you asking me to leave? I'm asking if you understand what you're walking into. The dragons haven't made another move, but they will. Jean Sang is plotting something. I can feel it. And every day you're here, you're more entangled in my world. More at risk. I can handle risk. Can you handle betrayal? Violence? Watching people you care about get hurt because they're associated with you? Why are you pushing so hard? What changed between last night and now? Yejin pulled out a folder and slid it across the desk. Inside were photos, surveillance shots of Eliana in Cape Town. Walking to class. At coffee shops. In her apartment. These were delivered this morning, Yejin said, his voice tight with anger. The dragons are sending a message. They know who you are. Where you came from. They're showing me that they can reach you anywhere. Eliana's hands trembled as she looked through the photos. Her entire life, catalogued by strangers. This is insane. This is my reality. And now it's yours. So yes, I'm pushing you to leave. Because the alternative is staying in a war zone, hoping you don't become collateral damage. Then make sure I'm not collateral. Teach me what I need to know. How to stay safe. How to spot threats. She met his eyes. Or better yet, use me. What? They're watching me, waiting to see what I mean to you. So make me mean something. Make them think I'm important. Use it to draw them out. Absolutely not. I won't put you in danger deliberately. I'm already in danger. You just showed me evidence of that. At least this way, it serves a purpose. Eliana stood, adrenaline overriding fear. I'm not helpless, Yejin. And I'm not leaving. So either we work together or I become a liability you have to constantly protect. Your choice. He stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Maybe she had, but she was so tired of being treated like fragile glass, like she couldn't handle the sharp edges of real life. You don't know what you're asking. Then tell me. Explain your world. Stop protecting me from information and start trusting me with it. The silence stretched. Then Yejin did something unexpected. He pulled out another folder, this one much thicker. This is everything. My operations, my rivals, the current conflicts. If you're going to stay, you need to understand what you're in the middle of. They spent the next 3 hours going through it. Shipping routes that moved legal and illegal goods. Property holdings that served as fronts. The territory disputes with the dragons, who wanted Ulsan's port access. Jin Sang's attempts to undermine Yejin's authority from within. He wants to take over, Yejin explained. He thinks I've gone soft, that I prioritize Bam Suk over the organization. He's not entirely wrong. But soft or not, I'm better at this than he'll ever be. And that kills him. What about your sister? Where does she fit? Hygiene got out. Married someone clean, lives a normal life. My father let her go because she's a woman. He didn't see her as a threat or an asset. She's the only one of us who escaped. Do you resent her for that? I envy her. But no, I don't resent her. Someone in this family should have a chance at happiness. You could too, if you walked away. Yejin's laugh was bitter. Men like me don't walk away. We die in position, or we die in prison. Those are the only exits. That's bleak. That's reality. Eliana absorbed all of it. The complexity, the danger, the absolute lack of good options. And still, she couldn't bring herself to leave. What did that say about her? Around midnight, Kwang Ho knocked urgently. Sir, we have movement. 3 vehicles approaching from the east. Unknown occupants. Yejin was on his feet immediately. Lock down. Get Bam Suk to the safe room. Eliana. I'm going with him.
No.
You're staying here where? I'm going with Bam Suk. He trusts me. If he has to hide, I'm the one who can keep him calm. Stop arguing and let me help. For a split second, Yejin looked torn. Then he nodded. Kwang Ho, take them both. Now. The safe room was hidden behind a bookshelf in Yejin's private quarters. Inside was everything they'd need for an extended siege: food, water, medical supplies, communications equipment. Bam Suk was already there, confused and frightened. Appa. I'm right here, Yejin said, kneeling in front of his son. Remember our game? The hiding game. I don't like this game. I know. But Eliana is going to stay with you. She'll keep you safe until I come back. Can you be brave for me? Bam Suk nodded, though his hands were already flapping with stress. Yejin looked at Eliana, and in his eyes she saw fear. Real, human fear. Keep him safe. I will. I promise. Then he was gone, and the bookshelf slid shut, sealing them in. Bam Suk immediately started counting. Walls, ceiling tiles, supply boxes. His voice shook, but he kept going. Eliana sat next to him and counted too. Outside, they heard shouts, crashes that made the floor vibrate. Bam Suk's counting got faster, more frantic. Eliana pulled him close, humming the crane song he'd taught her. He leaned against her, still counting but quieter now. Time lost meaning. Minutes or hours could have passed. The sounds of fighting faded. Then silence. Long, Terrible silence. Is Appa okay? Bam Suk whispered. He's strong. He'll be okay. How do you know? Because he promised to come back. And fathers don't break promises like that. She hoped she was right. Because if something happened to Yejin, she just lied to a child who'd already been lied to too many times. Finally, the bookshelf moved. Eliana tensed, ready to fight if it wasn't Yejin. But it was him, alive, though his suit was torn and there was blood on his knuckles. Not his blood, she thought, and didn't know how to feel about that. It's over. They're gone. Bam Suk launched himself at his father, and Yejin caught him, holding him tight. Over the boy's head, his eyes found Eliana's. Thank you, he mouthed. She nodded, her throat too tight for words. They'd survived. But she'd just learned firsthand what Yejin's world really meant. Violence. Terror. Uncertainty. And somehow, impossibly, she still wasn't ready to leave. What was wrong with her? The attack changed everything. For 3 days afterward, the compound was on lockdown. Extra guards. Constant patrols. Yejin barely slept, coordinating security and tracking the dragon's movements. The men who'd attacked weren't dragons, they were hired mercenaries, which meant someone had contracted them specifically to hit the compound while Yejin was distracted. Someone like Ginseng. On Tuesday morning, Eliana found Yejin in the training room, taking his frustration out on a heavy bag. His movements were precise, controlled, deadly. She watched for a moment before speaking. You're going to break your hands. He stopped mid-punch. Couldn't sleep. Neither could I. Kept hearing the loud crashes. I'm sorry you had to experience that. Don't apologize. Just tell me what happens now. Yejin grabbed a towel, wiping sweat from his face. Now I prove my brother arranged the attack. Then I deal with him. Permanently. The casual way he said it should have scared her. Instead, she felt a strange sense of resignation. This was his world. Violence solving violence in an endless cycle. Will that actually fix anything? It'll remove a threat and create a power vacuum that someone else will fill. Maybe someone worse. She stepped closer. I'm not saying don't defend yourself, but there has to be a better solution than just eliminating problems. In my world, there isn't. Then maybe your world is wrong. Yejin's expression hardened. You think I don't know that? You think I chose this life? I was born into it, shaped by it, trapped by it. And yes, it's wrong. All of it. But I can't change the rules just because they're broken. Can't or won't. What difference does it make? All the difference. Eliana crossed her arms. Because if you can't change it, then you're a victim of circumstance. But if you won't, then you're choosing this. Choosing violence and fear over finding another way. There is no other way. There's always another way. It might be harder, riskier, less certain. But it exists.
She paused.
What if you walked away? Took Bam Suk somewhere safe. Started over. They'd find us.
Kill us both.
The only way out is death. Or, what if you changed the organization from within? Made it something less destructive? Yejin laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're incredibly naive. Do you know what my organization does? We move weapons.
Drugs.
We extort businesses and manipulate politicians. We're not some charity that got a little aggressive with fundraising. We're criminals. Changing from within would mean dismantling everything my father built. It would mean war with every rival who saw weakness. Bam Suk would die in the crossfire. So you're stuck. Forever. Yes. And you're okay with that?
No.
But I accept it. There's a difference. Eliana wanted to argue more, but what was the point? She couldn't fix his life any more than he could fix hers. They were two people from completely different worlds, temporarily colliding before inevitably separating. That thought hurt more than it should have. 6 more days, she said quietly. Then I'm gone, and this becomes just a strange story I'll never tell anyone. 6 more days, Yejin echoed, and something in his voice made her chest ache. On Wednesday, Hygiene returned. This time, she brought her husband, Min Suk, a gentle man who designed educational software and seemed completely out of place among the guards and weapons. He spent the afternoon with Bam Suk, showing him programming basics, and the boy lit up in a way Eliana had never seen. "He's brilliant," Min Suk told Yejin at dinner. "Truly. His pattern recognition skills are extraordinary. With the right support, he could do anything." "He has support," Yejin said defensively. "I know. I meant when he's older. University, career, opportunities."
Have you thought about that?
The question clearly caught Yejin off guard. He's 9. 9-year-olds grow up. And when he's 18, what then? Does he stay here, trapped in this compound? Or does he get a chance at a normal life? Silence fell. Eliana saw the conflict on Yejin's face, the desire to keep his son close versus the knowledge that close meant dangerous. "I want him safe," Yejin finally said. "Safe isn't the same as alive," Hygiene added gently. "I got out, Yejin. Let him get out too." After dinner, Eliana found Yejin on the terrace again. Their spot. She'd started thinking of it, though that was dangerous. "Your sister is right," she said. "Bam Suk deserves a real future, not just existence between these walls." "I know. So, what are you going to do about it?" "I don't know." He turned to face her. "Eliana, in 5 days you leave. What happens then? Do you just forget about us?" "Forget about him? Of course not. But what choice do I have? My life is in Cape Town. My education, my career, everything I've worked for. I'm not asking you to give that up." "Then what are you asking?" Yejin moved closer, and Eliana's pulse quickened. They'd maintained careful distance since the attack, avoiding whatever this thing was between them. But now it was there, unavoidable, real. "I'm asking if maybe we don't have to disappear from each other's lives completely. If maybe there's a way to..." "To what? Be pen pals? Video call occasionally?" "Yejin, you're a crime boss in Korea. I'm a graduate student in South Africa. There's no scenario where this works. Because you don't want it to work or because you think it can't?" The question struck deep. Eliana realized she didn't have an answer. Or rather, she had several answers, and they all contradicted each other. "I want..." She stopped, frustrated. "I don't know what I want. A month ago my life made sense. Now everything is complicated and messy, and I can't see the path forward anymore. Welcome to my world." They stood there, close enough to touch but not touching, both aware of the line they were dancing around. Finally, Eliana broke the silence. "What do you want? Honestly." Yejin's expression was raw, vulnerable. "I want my son to be happy. I want him to have the childhood I never did. I want him to grow up knowing he's loved, valued, enough exactly as he is." He paused. "And I want to not feel so alone all the time. Is that selfish? It's human. I'm not sure I get to be human anymore. Everyone gets to be human. Even people who've done terrible things." Eliana reached out slowly, giving him time to pull away. When he didn't, she took his hand. "You're not a monster, Yejin. You're a complicated person in an impossible situation. And for what it's worth, I don't think you're alone. Not anymore." His hand tightened on hers. "In 5 days. Don't think about 5 days from now. Just be here now. With me. For whatever time we have." It wasn't smart. It wasn't safe. But when Yejin pulled her closer, when his forehead rested against hers, Eliana stopped trying to make logical sense of anything. Some things didn't need to make sense. They just needed to be felt. They stayed like that for a long time, not quite together but not quite apart, existing in the space between what was and what could never be. Friday morning brought the reckoning. Jin Sang called requesting a meeting, neutral territory, just the brothers. Yejin knew it was a trap. He went anyway. "Absolutely not," Eliana said when she found out. "You can't seriously be. He's my brother. Blood matters, even when it shouldn't. Blood matters less than living to raise your son. Don't be stupid." "I'm not being stupid. I'm being strategic." He wants to talk, which means he's uncertain. That's leverage. Or it's bait for an ambush. Probably. But I'll have 20 men positioned around the meeting site. If things go wrong, they'll extract me. And if they can't? Yejin cupped her face gently, and the tenderness of it nearly broke her. Then you take Bam Suk and run. Kwang Ho has instructions. Money, passports, everything you'll need. Stop talking like you're going to die. I'm talking like someone who accepts reality. If I don't come back, promise me you'll protect him. Get him somewhere safe. Give him the life he deserves. Yejin. Promise me, Eliana. She wanted to refuse, to insist he'd be fine. But his eyes held too much certainty about the danger ahead. I promise. But you better come back, because I'm not explaining to Bam Suk why another parent abandoned him. Not abandoned. Taken. There's a difference. Not to him there isn't. The meeting was set for noon at an abandoned warehouse by the docks. Yejin left with half his security team, leaving the compound heavily defended but vulnerable. Eliana spent the time with Bam Suk, trying to act normal while her stomach churned with anxiety. Is Appa in danger? The boy asked suddenly. What makes you think that? Everyone's acting strange. Lots of whispering. Kwang Ho keeps checking his phone. The guards look scared. Bam Suk's analytical mind had picked up on everything. Someone wants to hurt Appa. Eliana decided honesty was better than lies. Yes. But your father is very smart and very prepared. He's going to be okay. How do you know? Because he promised me. And I promise to keep you safe if anything goes wrong. That's what people who care about each other do. They make promises and keep them. Do you care about Appa? The question was innocent, but it carved right through her defenses. Yes, I do. More than just friends? It's complicated. That means yes. Complicated always means yes, when adults don't want to admit something. He returned to his puzzle. I hope he comes back. I like you both together. You make him less sad. Before Eliana could respond, Kwang Ho burst into the room, his face ashen. We have a problem. Yejin's team just went silent. All communication cut off. And Jinsang's men are moving on the compound. Both locations at once. It's a coordinated attack. Everything slowed down. This was it. The moment Yejin had feared. The trap had worked, and now they were all in danger. Get Bam Suk to the safe room, Eliana ordered, her voice steadier than she felt. I'll help with defense. Miss Zachary, you're not trained. I don't care. Give me a weapon and tell me where to go. Kwang Ho looked torn, then nodded. Fine. But you follow orders exactly. Understood. Understood. The next 20 minutes were chaos. Guards fell back to defensive positions. Eliana found herself crouched behind a wall and the tool she barely knew how to use, watching as Jinsang's forces tried to breach the main building. This wasn't a movie. It wasn't exciting or heroic. It was terrifying. People screamed. Blood stained the marble floors. And somewhere out there, Yejin might already be dead. No. She refused to believe that. He was too stubborn to die. Too needed. A breached alarm sounded. They'd gotten through the east entrance. Eliana moved with 2 guards toward the safe room. They had to protect Bam Suk. Nothing else mattered. But when they reached the hidden entrance, it was already open. Empty. Bam Suk was gone. Eliana's world tilted. Where is he? Where's Bam Suk? One of the guards checked the security footage, his face going pale. Someone accessed this room 15 minutes ago. Unknown male. He took the boy out through the servant corridors. Find him. Now. I don't care what you have to do. Find him. She ran through the compound, calling Bam Suk's name, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. This couldn't be happening. She'd promised Yejin. She'd promised to keep him safe. A hand grabbed her arm. Hygiene, somehow still in the compound. Stop. You'll get yourself killed. They took him. Someone took Bam Suk. I know. Min Suk saw it happen. He followed them. They're heading to the north garden. There's a vehicle waiting. Hygiene's eyes were fierce. My brother might be gone, but I'm not losing my nephew too. Come on. They ran together, 2 women completely out of their depth, but driven by love for one frightened boy. The north garden was in chaos. Guards fighting Jinsang's men, smoke from flash grenades clouding everything. Through the haze, Eliana saw him. Bam Suk, struggling in the arms of a large man heading toward a black van. The boy was having a meltdown, screaming and flailing, completely overwhelmed. Eliana didn't think. She just ran. She tackled the man from behind, all her weight and momentum knocking him off balance. Bam Suk tumbled free, and Hygiene grabbed him, pulling him away. The man recovered quickly, reaching for his tool, but Eliana kicked it away with a lucky blow. They grappled, and she realized with absolute clarity that she was about to die. Then a shot rang out. The man dropped. Eliana looked up to see Yejin, bloodied and battered but alive. Behind him, his remaining team secured the area. Jinseng's forces were retreating or surrendering. "You promised to stay safe," Yejin said, his voice rough. "You promised to come back," Eliana countered, her whole body shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. "I always keep my promises." He pulled her up, and they stumbled together toward where Hygiene held Bam Suk. The boy was crying, overwhelmed and terrified, but when he saw his father, he reached out. Yejin took him, holding him close, and Eliana saw tears in the hardened crime boss's eyes. "I've got you," Yejin murmured. "You're safe. I've got you." Around them, the compound slowly quieted as the last attackers were subdued. Kwang Ho approached, his arm in a makeshift sling. "Sir, Jinseng is in custody. We caught him trying to flee. Bring him to me." They dragged Jinseng into the garden, and the brothers faced each other across 10 feet of blood-stained grass. Jinseng was battered, defeated, but still defiant. "You can't kill me," he spat. "I'm family. You tried to take my son. You betrayed everything we are." Yejin's voice was ice. "Family ended the moment you planned this. So what? You'll execute me? Prove everyone right that you're just like father." Yejin was quiet for a long time. Then he looked at Bam Suk, still clinging to him. At Hygiene, who'd risked her life to save her nephew. At Eliana, who'd done the same despite having every reason to run. "No," he said finally. "I'm not executing you. I'm exiling you. You have 24 hours to leave Korea. If you ever return, if you ever threaten my family again, then I will kill you. But today, I choose something different than death. I choose to be better than our father." Jinseng looked shocked. So did everyone else. Eliana felt something shift in her chest. Hope, maybe, that change was actually possible. "Take him away," Yejin ordered. "Make sure he gets on a plane. I don't care where it goes, as long as it's far from here." As Jinseng was led away, Yejin finally set Bam Suk down. The boy immediately went to Eliana, hugging her legs. "You kept your promise. You kept me safe." "We all did," Eliana said, her voice breaking. "We all kept each other safe." Later that night, after the wounded were treated and the damage assessed, Eliana found Yejin alone in his destroyed study. He was staring at a photo of young Bam Suk before everything got so complicated. "You broke the cycle," she said softly. "You chose mercy. I chose survival. If I'd killed Jinseng, his allies would never stop coming. This way, they have no martyr. You keep telling yourself that if it helps. But I know what I saw. You chose to be better." Yejin set down the photo. "I had a good teacher." "Yeah? Who's that?" "A stubborn woman from Johannesburg who wouldn't leave when any sane person would have run." He turned to face her. "You leave tomorrow. Our 2 weeks are up." "I know. What if?" He stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. "What if you didn't?" Eliana's heart stuttered. "Yejin, I know it's insane. I know you have a life, a career, dreams that don't involve this mess. But maybe you could visit sometimes. Help with Bam Suk. He's grown so much with you here. And I." He took a breath. "I don't want to go back to being alone. You won't be alone. You have Bam Suk, Hygiene, people who care. I want you too. Is that allowed? Can I want that?" Eliana felt tears threatening. "What we want and what we can have are different things." "Are they?" "Because from where I'm standing, the only thing stopping us is fear. You're afraid of giving up your safe life. I'm afraid of losing you if you stay. But we're both going to lose anyway if we don't at least try. Try what? A long distance something with a man whose enemies will always see me as a target? Who lives in a world I don't understand and can't be part of? Or try building something new. Something neither of us expected, but both of us need. He stepped closer. I'm not asking you to give up your dreams, Eliana. I'm asking if maybe I could be part of them. And you could be part of mine. Bam Suk's. Messy, complicated, definitely not what either of us planned. But real. She wanted to say yes. God, she wanted to say yes so badly, it physically hurt. But reality crashed back in. Her dissertation, her advisor's disappointment, the life she'd worked so hard to build. I need time, she whispered. To think. To figure out what I'm willing to risk. How much time? I don't know. But I promise I'll figure it out. And I'll come back with an answer. Even if it's not the one you want to hear. Yejin nodded, accepting this. Then I'll wait. However long it takes. They stood in the ruins of a study, two people from impossibly different worlds who'd somehow found each other in the chaos. Outside, the compound was being repaired. Guards patrolled. Life continued. But something fundamental had shifted. Yejin had chosen mercy over vengeance. Eliana had chosen to fight rather than flee. And Bam Suk had learned that the people who loved him would protect him, no matter what. Maybe that was enough. Maybe it was the beginning of something neither of them could predict but both of them needed. 3 months later, Eliana stood in the arrival terminal of Ulsan Airport. She'd finished her dissertation remotely, negotiated a modified program that included field research in Korea, and convinced Dr. Mbatha that cross-cultural child development studies were worth the complications. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't safe. But when she saw Bam Suk running toward her, Yejin following with a rare smile, she knew she'd made the right choice. You came back. Bam Suk counted her braids, checking they were still 43. Are you staying? For a while. Eliana confirmed. Is that okay? It's perfect. 47 stitches perfect. Yejin reached them, and for a moment, they just looked at each other. You came back, he echoed his son. I kept my promise. I figured out what I wanted. She smiled. Turns out it's this. Messy, complicated, definitely not what I planned. But mine. Ours. Ours. Yejin agreed. And for the first time since she'd met him, he looked hopeful. They walked out of the airport together. A patchwork family built from dance invitations and kept promises. It wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges, dangers, moments of doubt. But they'd face them together. Because sometimes the best things in life are the ones you never saw coming. And sometimes, a single dance with a lonely boy leads to finding exactly where you belong. Even if it's in a ruthless Mafia Don's world, learning that people are always more than the worst things they've done, and that family is whatever you build it to be. What did you think of Eliana and Yejin's journey from that one dance to building their unexpected family? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I love hearing which moment hit you hardest. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional romance story. Your support means everything, and I can't wait to bring you more heartfelt tales that make you feel all the emotions.